I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed.
Child shall lead them to buy our merch.
I'm the one that's supposed to say buy our merch.
Yeah,
indeed.
I know.
You said to buy our merch, and I said, yes, you're listening. Yes, literally done this thousands of times.
Yeah, I know. But this time I was trying to make sure I got the timestamp before we dragged it down with talking about getting the timestamp, but then that threw me off. So 2:58 is what it is. All right, you guys. Up next.
Shout out to Phil. Don't fully believe anything, but embrace everything. God, Jesus is to adults as his Santa Claus is to children.
There it is.
Lead by fear. Sad, Zozo. Thank you, Philip, for those words of wisdom, man. You know, I thought that Jesus was, the Messiah raised from the dead. And then, I saw that text in
You enlightened us.
You enlightened us from Facebook, So thank you for that, man. Okay.
All right.
Come and welcome. Song number 5.
We have Lord of the Lost, Drag Me to Hell.
Allahu Akbar.
This one is another song from Northern Scoundrel, who says, when asked about the best advice they got from Iron Maiden's Steve Harris while touring with Iron Maiden, members of Lord of the Lost replied, he told us, if you always do what you love and never listen to others, then you never end up being ashamed for what you do. It's something we already did, but it was nice to know that there's somebody with the same mindset who's been doing it for decades. The funny thing is, when he gives advice, he always ends the sentence, but what do I know? All right.
What was that thing? It was like, I forgot what it was. It was like something like ask me for advice and I'll ruin your life or something like that. I don't know how she did it, but it was so funny. I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. I need an Excedrin.
No.
All right. Land of the Lost or Lord of the Lost?
Lord of the Lost.
I feel like he's the one that introduced us to that band.
Drag me to hell.
Is this right here?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going.
I mean, you could try to drag me to hell, but I'm not going there because Jesus died for my sins, bitch.
You won't even be able to cup your hand around my arm.
All right. Get me those lyrics, por favor.
I will do that.
All right. This is Lord of the Lost, Drag Me to Hell is the name of the song. And it's a lyric video, so we don't have to rush. All right, guys, let's go. Lord of the Lost, let's do it.
You give me strength to face the daily dirt. You fill my hollow heart with fakes of worth. You like to let me know I cannot break the spell. The more I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. This love eviscerates till I am in your thrall. Sleep over snow escape, I feel temptation. salvation call. Repulsed by my own mind, obsession craves respect to justify the time when all the pain can make sense to me. You can't be what you're not. The more I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. Hide me forever and ever. The more that you love me, the more it will ever carry me. Forever and ever. The more that life stabs me, the more and the more and the more, the more that I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. You keep the secret of my solid life. You guarantee to take my load so high then I fall again. You can't beat what you are. The more I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. Hide me forever and ever. The more that you love me, the more it will ever carry me. Forever and ever. The more that life stabs me, the more and the more and the more, the more that I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. You've made me seal, you've made me lie, you've made me weak, wanting to die. I'm not your first, won't be your last. What that I am. Forever and ever. The more that you love me, the more it will ever carry me. Forever and ever. The more that life stabs me, the more and the more and the more, the more that I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hide me. The more that I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell.
Just wanted one more break. It looked like you were okay with that one. Looks like you were okay with that pen. You understand?
Oh my word! Before my passing, you have to bring me to one of these concerts. Oh my
Before your
gosh!
what?
Well, I know you hate the word that. I'm just saying before the end
Why
of
would
my
you- why
time
would you
on
bring-
this.
Why would you bring something like
It's like bucket list stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like
Go ahead, man.
before
Damn,
I need to
six
go to
talking
one of
hell, all
these.
types of shit. You bringing death into the situation. Man, go ahead.
You like to
What's wrong with
give
you?
me strength to face the daily. Okay, first of all, I didn't really read all of the lyrics, but the energy of this song was crazy. It was heavy, and the vocal style that was used, like, if this is a really terrible song, I didn't know because I just got so much into the vibe of it. It was really fun, and it was like fun to like.
This is one of those songs where if you'd have seen it live, you'd have went off.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I
You
have
went
to
to
go
the
to a
Static
concert.
X song when Push It came on. You should have seen Shorty. She's like, what? Push it! Like, hey. Okay. Black guy here. I have guns, all type of shit.
Oh my gosh.
It's getting a little too much into the push it, you know?
That's so funny because I don't even remember that. I do remember there was like a part where there was like some
Yeah,
cursing.
you never remember shit like that, bro. You never remember. It's only like some girl will like sneeze on me or some shit like that. She like, do you remember?
I'll be like, that
It was
girl,
song 4,
she
minute
tripped.
3, around the second part of the
she
last
tripped
breakdown.
and you didn't let her fall on her face.
That girl in the blue
'Cause you
jeans
had
and
to
the orange
save
socks.
her.
She was about to fall just because her teeth were going to come out of her mouth. You had to put your hand out there and save that bitch.
Wow.
Yeah. But then, sorry, she'd be like, yeah! Yeah! Push it! I'm like, look at the stage, bitch.
Oh my
Look
god.
at the fucking stage. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Oh my word. All right. All right.
Fucking abominations.
You like to give me strength, he says, to face the daily dirt. You fill my hollow heart with fake self-worth. Oh, okay. You like to let me know I cannot break the spell. The more I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. Okay, is this a relationship song? Okay, this love eviscerates. Still, I am in your thrall. Sleep offers no escape. Oh my gosh. I feel temptation call. Repulsed by my own mind, obsession craves respect to justify the time when all the pain can make sense to me and can't be what you're not. Hate me forever and ever. The more you love me, the more it will ever kill me forever. Okay, I'm guessing this is a relationship song and that it's not good for him. Like the way she is with him, it's like literally dragging him to hell. And even when he's trying to like make the right decisions and move himself in a good direction, she has a way of just... Is that what you got from it?
Well, it's just funny because I finally broke down and went to the doctors. And they were doing the blood pressure thing, you know, where they do the little blood pressure test. And I'm not going to say who it was. You can say who it was. I don't know, like, how much you know. But somebody called me, and they called me while my blood pressure thing was being taken. I don't know what the number was, like 120 over 60 or so. It was some.
It was higher than that. I don't remember what the number was now.
I don't really know the blood pressure thing. You know, when we had go on trips, they do all that. They'd stick you with stuff, and hey, it's all this and that. So, you know, well, yeah, sure, whatever. So, like, I don't know what those numbers are. Like, I don't know, like, you know.
I can't remember what the
but
number
apparently
was.
it was high. And I was talking to somebody, and Sori was like, oh, it's because you're talking to that person. And I was like, that's ridiculous. And then we got done with the appointment, whatever. And then Sori was like, yo, can you do the thing again? And it was like significant. I mean, was it?
Oh, yeah. What happened when he took it the first time, it was high. Like I heard the numbers, and I said, whoa, that's high. And well, I'm the nurse's assistant or whatever she was like, her eyes looked a little bit like, yeah. And then she said you could tell she was concerned about the numbers as well.
Yeah,
and I knew the numbers were high.
And
I said, well, we'll have to, like, I wanted them to run the numbers again, because if the numbers were high again at the end of the appointment, that tells me something different. That tells me you might have an issue with high blood pressure. But after that phone call, and I looked at you, I said, that raised his blood pressure for sure.
So then they did it again at the end of the thing, and it was like significantly.
And then he was normal. It was like normal blood pressure.
Significantly lower.
Yeah.
And that's
there
when
was no cause for concern.
That's when I said, "Oh shit!" Like this person is really stressing me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shorty. Yeah, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just
so
thinking
why
about,
were you, well, yeah,
because it was kind of like, dragging, being dragged to hell.
Yeah.
Like, a bad relationship can definitely feel like hell at times, for sure. But I thought it was like his relationship with drugs. Or even music. I didn't know. I didn't actually personify the relationship, but it could be.
Yeah. Well, he says, "Hey, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Could be drug related too. You keep the secret of my sordid other life. You guarantee to take it. My low is so high, then I fall again. Oh, you can't beat what you are. Yeah, it really could be either.
Yeah.
Because I could see in that, my low is so high, like when you're doing the worst, that's when you end up making yourself so high by using drugs that are actually destructive to you.
Right.
The more I reach out for heaven, the more you drag me to hell. Right. Because on the drugs you're reaching, it's giving you this high feeling, this like everything. I remember like, health was one of my favorite stuff. I was bored with school all around. Like there wasn't anything that I was like, I can't wait. I hated everything about school.
You would have liked my school.
I would have liked your school. That was why I, hung around whenever you were teaching. You'll always be my favorite teacher.
Oh.
I mean that. I mean that 100%.
No, actually, I think you're right about that.
You finally believe it?
I think I probably am.
Yeah,
I'm probably your favorite teacher.
you are. There's no close second. I'm always like, this is not Vin. Oh, Vin would have said that.
Oh yeah, that Matt Chandler, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Babe, I've tried listening to other people. I have tried.
The dude
And
is
I
the
can be
greatest,
like-
he's the greatest teacher in the world right now. But go ahead. I am a better teacher than Matt Chandler. I am also a better guitarist than Yngwie Malmsteen, dear listener. Continue.
Oh no, Phoenix Force. Hey, Vin and Sori, I'm back after I broke the phone out of anger. Oh no. So yeah, I could see this.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you brought that up, I used to judge people that would break their phones.
You did.
Believe it or not.
You did.
But about the phone thing, I used to judge people for breaking their own phones. I'm like, why would you do something to like, you are hurting your own self because you can't control yourself. And then like, I found myself so angry at times. I had to tell myself, do not smash that phone. Don't smash the phone. Because in the moment, you do not care about tomorrow or the next phone
And she was
call
mad
or
at me.
anything.
She was mad at me. She wanted to break the phone on me. I'd have showed up to the show with a black eye. Everybody would be like, what'd you do, Vin? If I was like, yeah, they probably thought I got in a fight with somebody. I'm like, yeah, sorry, just threw the phone in my face. You know what y'all would say?
I never thought about throwing a phone.
Y'all would say,
stop it.
Y'all would say, what did you do to make her do that to you?
Yeah,
That's what they
why?
would say. That's what they would say.
It's true.
Go ahead. White woman in distress. We continue.
You fill my hollow heart with fake self-worth.
Whew.
Okay, this
Whew.
I think you're right. I think this is drug related.
Well,
but it could be. It literally could be both.
that's what I'm saying. That's what controller was saying. He was saying it's he thinks it's both.
Well, 163 to fix it. That sucks. I think that both have the capacity of doing that, right? Like you have the drugs that you can't stop reaching for. Like I just saw this girl's post and she was saying, you know, X amount of days sober. Every time I see those, I'm always like, so proud of you. You know, that's so awesome. But then I think to myself, holy
Is that homegirl?
shit. No,
Jay?
this is somebody else.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, like every time somebody gets sober, they then count their life by the sober side of it. That's how challenging it is to stay sober.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, that's a message to the people who haven't tried it yet. Stay away from it. But then, you know, to people that are in that situation, like you got to fight, you know, like you got to fight to get out of it. You got to fight to stay out of it. And you got to fight to get your family back if you've lost your family because of it. But that is what it's a war baby, war baby, war baby. It said, drag me to hell. Like, I think that's real. And I think that, you know, both of them can be super destructive, right? If you're in a relationship where the person gives you a false sense of self-worth, because our self-worth should never come from another person. Like it can be like encouraged, I guess you could say, by another person. But if all of your self-worth comes from them and they no longer give you what it is, I mean, let's
You mean
face
another
it.
human person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, another human person.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
Then, you know, if they can say something that totally fixes your self-worth, then that means they have the equal power to be destructive in that same way. And, you know, it really, some people are really good with words, you know, like Trump. But I mean,
he okay. I can kind of go there. He does have a way with words.
well, he said it. That's why I was joking. Didn't he say
Well,
like, I'm
yeah,
good
he
with
has the
words?
best words. He has the best words.
Yeah, it just popped in my head when I said that. But
I mean, he does. I mean, he it's not like he does. For the people that he's trying to influence, he does have a way with words.
Mm-hmm. So I just think that relationships, they have a way of like, if you give them all that power, it could be relationships, it could be your father, it could be a friggin' voice from the past that is no longer even in your life. And that voice keeps speaking to you about like your state now. Like we have to,
Yeah.
I think, you know, and drugs has a way of like, you know, it could have been something you did in the past, but then at the most opportune moment, like that's the thing, you know, part of the reason why being a Christian is such a cool thing is there's stuff that's really practical. Like it says, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness that wage war against our souls. And so there's an aspect at like, there's a part of like if you and I are in a fight about something, Heated fellowship, as they say.
I've never heard that before in my life.
You've
Heated
never-
fellowship. That's really good, though. That sounds like some Christianese shit.
It is. I got it in college.
We need that's such a brilliant term, heated fellowship. Go ahead.
Heated fellowship. So when we're in a situation like that, like there's a side of it where I'm like, okay, there's something real practical here that Vinny's trying to communicate. There's also something real practical I'm trying to communicate. But there's also a spiritual aspect of this where, you know, I believe there's a spiritual realm that wants to silence you, and there's a spiritual realm that wants to silence me. And so if they can use us against each other to silence each other or to drive each other into such frustration, then that would be A1. They would want to do that, you know? And so recognizing that not everything that's happening in our life is directly the things that are in front of us.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, I'm not going to share all of that, I guess. But I think that the same is true with the, you know, drug use and alcohol use and stuff. Like, it has a way of making you feel a certain way, kind of bolstering you, like bringing you up, but then you end up crashing down on the other side of it. And a lot of times, the one thing that I remember hearing consistently from different people that had been in that situation was, they would say, I wasted X amount of years of my life. And I was always like, how did that happen? Like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, like whatever. Like they explained it like the time was lost to them because when they were using the drugs, it seemed like they were in like this sort of a time portal. I don't know, where they didn't realize, like they didn't feel that 20 years like their family did. They didn't feel that 5 years like their kids did. So I don't know. I think that the song is, I friggin' love the song start to finish. I think the message is important. I think that lyrically, the way that they did it, like, I don't know, the vocal style, and it was heavy. It was really, really heavy. And you know, obsession craves respect to justify the time when all the pain can make sense to me. You can't be what you're not. Like, I don't know, like just lyrically, the way that he kind of like worded it out, and that it kind of had it was like a double, you know, it had both sides to it. That it could be a relationship, or it could be drugs, or whatever it is that has that power. Because literally the only person that should have that power is Jesus Christ himself. And God says that we're made in the image and likeness of God. So that's the starting point for all of us. And then what we do with that, you know, is sort of, you know, it's kind of our decision. Like, are you going to capitalize on that and make the most of it? Or are we going to just trash that off to the side and then just start listening to those negative voices like, oh, you piece of shit, you this and that. Like, there's so many people that spend their lifetime, the older that we are, the more of that those words and like the negative words that people say to us, the negative words that we say to ourselves just kind of keeps going and going. And you either give all of the power to that or you give the power to something else. But ultimately people are drawn to give the power to what they believe and what they think is true. And so if you don't believe that, you know, that you're made in the image and likeness of God, at first, I think it's a little bit hard to like, no, hold on a second. No, I'm more than that. Like, I'm not like a piece of shit. And I'm not like maybe I've done some shitty things in my life. That's true. You know, the Bible said, if you say you haven't, then you're a liar. So like everybody should come to that point. But then it's like, okay, but that's not who I am. That doesn't define me. And then coming outside of that, just like
Absolutely defines you.
How so? Well, you're still made in the image and likeness of God.
No, it doesn't. You know, the scriptures, you know, let the thief no longer steal.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're defined as a thief, right? I think it doesn't have to be the final word on who you are. Okay. It doesn't have the final word if you go back to your creator and tell him to undo that knot that you've it's not. I'm a big accountability guy, but you know, we have these discussions. Like, there's this kid out there in Chicago, and he went on. He's killed 10 people. He claims he's killed 10 people. He probably did. And he was going for number 11, and dudes were waiting for him, and so they took him out. They took him out of there, and unfortunately, you know, his friends had to sit there and watch as they pumped his body full of holes. And now they're probably going to jail for it. Yeah, they're definitely going to prison for it because they did They did the honorable thing, went back and got their friend, which is extremely dangerous to do in that situation, and dropped them off at the hospital. But if you took part in a crime and your friend died, you're gonna get charged with murder. So, like, that dude was absolutely a murderer, and he got murdered trying to murder people. And so the last word on that dude is he's a murderer. And so that absolutely defined him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And if you're the type of dude that goes and harms children, that will absolutely define you.
Right.
And if you're a person who lies all the time, that will absolutely define you.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
The problem
the
is...
final word. I think that's better.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem is that our fuck-ups don't need to have the final word.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The reason that for most of us, why our fuck-ups have the final word is because we won't admit that we fucked up. Because the easiest way out of it, this happens, when you're a parent, you understand this. Because there's a certain leeway that you have to your kids. So you're just like, man, they're kids, man. You know what I'm saying? And the only time our kids truly get in real trouble is when they've done something and won't say they did it. Mm-hmm. There's zero tolerance for that shit here. If you admit that you did it, depending on the severity of the infraction and the amount of times you repeat it, there's a lot of times that I'm sure we've probably disagreed with each other. Like, all right, well, you said it, all right, but don't do it again. And you're like, what? It's happened the other way. And so, but like, what we're trying to do is kind of model the way God treats us. Mm-hmm. When you come to God and you say, I did this, or God sends somebody and says, hey, you did that. Mm-hmm. The minute you go, shit, I was wrong. God's like, yep, but that's done. We're never going to talk about it again. Let's keep going. Mm-hmm. But when you start going, blah, 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 you start justifying all that shit, that's when people get in trouble. And so we try to model that with our kids. We try to model that with each other. Like, we're around each other 98% of the day, so I don't necessarily think we could ever really use ourselves as a template for a relationship, because you know what I mean? Like, but the concept of heaven and hell is a very interesting one in the universe.
It will be weird. Like, we spend literally all the time, and we still send messages like, "I miss you."
Yeah.
one of us is in the shower. I miss you.
But it's true though.
I know.
Yeah, but like the concept of heaven and hell is a very interesting one, right? Because you got your ideal world, and then you have your worst case scenario, right? So your ideal world is heaven, your worst case scenario is hell. And in the context of this song, he had two major things in his life that he believed was going to bring him into his ideal world. One of them was chemicals, and the other one was this relationship. If Controller's theory is true, which I think he's right, it's talking about both of them. And both of them ended up dragging him to hell.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about hell and fire and brimstone. I'm talking about your worst case scenario, how you look at what your worst case scenario would be. There's nothing more miserable than a person who gets what they want. Because the minute you get what you want, you no longer have any hope. Because when you get that thing that you want, you're in heaven for 4 minutes, and then you're back down to earth. Mm-hmm. But now you have the added problem, now what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. Whereas, let's say I want to be a giant rock star. Oh, I didn't make it this year. Well, I have next year to look forward to being a giant rock star. What if you become a giant rock star and you're miserable? What do you have to look forward to? That's why these guys die at 27. Hell is real and heaven is real, but we are either bringing heaven down or raising hell by the choices and decisions that we make. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that has to do with we're modern people. We're brilliant. We have iPhones. We don't need God. We got our own thing going. We can redefine everything. We can take long-standing, not even traditions, scientific facts. We can turn that shit on its head, and we can redefine everything and anyone because, hey, we're running this shit. And everybody's more miserable, and everybody's more divided. So the song, like, if you don't, because you don't have a drug problem and you have a stable relationship, so you're not in hell. You're in hell some other, there's other ways to go to hell, my brother. You know what I'm saying? When you prioritize relationships or a chemical feeling or whatever, I got no judgments for you. But it's never going to, it's one of the first experiences I had with this principle was the first time I had gum. Because there was no gum in Jamaica. Well, there was, I'm sure, but, we were broke. The first time I had gum, I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
You still like gum a lot.
It was that juicy fruit. I don't know if you've ever, it wasn't juicy fruit. It was a zebra one. I don't know if you remember that one. It's fruit something.
Fruit tape. No, was it?
It's a zebra.
The zebra gum, yeah.
The zebra gum. Okay. I took that.
Fruit
I said,
tape
oh
gum?
my, I said, La ilaha illallah. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. And then 2 minutes later, it was gone. I said, Mom.
Yeah, the flavor.
I said, Mom, something's wrong with this. I said, what? She said, what happened? I said, it's not, and then the other one, the foot long gum.
Hubba Bubba.
Hubba Bubba. And I said, Ma, yeah, fruit stripe. Fruit stripe.
Fruit stripe.
Yes. Fruit stripe gum.
Babe,
and
I'm not joking
gum.
you. This was, I'm not a big gum person.
Yeah.
I loved this gum when I was a kid. It's just cute that we both like this.
Yeah, she said she came from America. My mom came from America on a Shekinah glory cloud. And then she gave me that and a Pepsi. I said, Allahu Akbar. My mother's the most gangster person on the planet. And she was smoking cigarettes. And she was swearing, bro. She said, damn or something. I was like, oh, my mother's God on earth, bro. But anyway, I was eating this gum, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I was dying. And then, 2 minutes later, it was gone. I was like, yo, Ma, something's wrong with this gum. She says, what's wrong with it? I said, I don't taste it anymore. She's like, yeah, that's what happens.
Put in another piece.
So I put in another. I was done with that shit two minutes. I went through the entire package. That was the first time I was like, that principle hit me. There's nothing in this world that's going to satisfy you for the length of time you want to be satisfied. It'll give you just enough to tell you what heaven is like, but it's not heaven.
Yeah.
So as a kid, my mom didn't sit me down and explain that to me. But as this began to happen more and more and more, the second time it happened to me there was one specific Christmas where the build up to Christmas was awesome and all this and the presents and all that. And then there was this giant crowd. I was 11 years old. I was running around outside of my Power Ranger suit. I was in the Power Ranger suit, the tights and shit, running around.
What color?
It was red. Running around doing the kicks and all this shit, doing the taekwondo and everything. And I just got blasted with this wave of depression. Christmas was over. I went back inside. No, the presents weren't under the tree anymore. The tree was kind of mangly. Everybody was doing their own thing. And I was just what the hell is going on here? And it's just this cruel, horrible cycle where if you're aware, same thing happened my first Korn concert. In the moment I was in heaven. The car ride back was horrible. Waking up the next day was terrible. Literally, I wanted to die. Literally. Because, I'm like, what do I have now? Because, I was looking forward to... Half of that show, why it was so important to me, is April 8th, 2000. I'll never forget it. The anticipation of going to see Korn.
You said you didn't listen to the songs.
Yeah, for 3 months,
Vinny's so extreme.
Yeah, 3 months in, I stopped listening to no Korn. I wouldn't allow myself to listen to any Korn. So then when they showed up, I was going crazy, yeah. And same thing with the first Slipknot show. But I was just blasted with this wave of depression when I woke up the next day because for 6 months, I had April 8th to look forward to over and over and over again. And then I woke up the next day and I had nothing. It was back to the Bronx, back to the old, and it was tough, man. And my best friend had gone with me and he's he didn't even go to school the next day. I was like, where were you? He's like, yeah, man, I just couldn't, And it was wow. And so it's just these constant reminders, man, that the only time I've ever been in a situation like that with the highs just kept getting higher was God,
Oh, yeah.
And being with our crew and we had so many victories and we had struggles and we had people finding God that moment. And
and you never knew what it was.
Never knew it
just dropped, and you didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
There's a verse that says that, and so is basically the spirit is the same way. It goes this way and that way, and you don't know which way it's gonna go. And that's how it was. All of a sudden, somebody would randomly show up. There was a question that was asked. A couple of questions was asked to them. One that they were asked whether or not Jesus was sinless, and they were they believed he had sin. And they said, what if I could prove to you that Jesus didn't have any sin? And they said, well, I think they basically said that they might believe it. But then they showed it to them in the Bible. And the girl was like, okay. Like, that was all she needed to see that was in the Bible. And then, like, her life changed. Her life switched paths. I mean, it wasn't like she was a perfect person. Like, she's still a regular person. But her life switched paths. And then she was on a path with God after that. Hasn't changed.
Yeah, she's more extreme now than before.
Yeah.
So like, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's ever been like. I have that moment on video, so like I go and see that sometimes. Like, damn, like that, and I still like there's never been a drop down from that. So that was crazy. Like that you know. But yeah, it's always been God.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that you know. When you get out of a situation, like you're still, you know. And I realized like a lot of the shit that we got into down there was just about that. It was just about like we were all empty and trying to fill it with something. And you know, the realest thing that we had was like, I'm bleeding here, or this guy's bleeding. Like, this is real. Like, we really love each other. You know, and it's a sick way to think about it, but like you had to have something to kind of fill that kind of emptiness. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. That the song is like really instructive. It's pretty crazy, but there's only one way to get to heaven, man. That's Jesus.
That's it.
I'm not talking about like pearly gates. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about now.
Right now.
I'm talking about Tuesday.
Yeah.
At 4:00, and there's no show, and there's no music, and there's no friends in the chat room, and there's no whatever. You're by yourself, and you're dealing with yourself. The hell that is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's hell. That's the only one. So like the people of heaven are living in heaven now, and the people in hell are raising hell now. You're either bringing heaven down or raising hell. Period. End of story.
I think that like what you just described is pretty cool too, because it's like there's nothing that can be said, or there's no magic pill or even drug that can happen that can take you away from when you have to face yourself, because there's always a down, you know, whether it's you know, whatever it is, like you have your time, and everybody has their time, and in those moments you realize it is just you and you alone, and there's nothing that somebody else can do or say or nothing that can change those moments, because those moments they're real, and they're, I guess you could say, unforgiving, in that when you actually see them and you actually experiencing them, it's like Adam and Eve in the garden after they fell. There was this real sense of like nakedness, and that's why they sewed fig leaves together. And I think that we have those moments in our mind or in our hearts and in our souls when we're faced with who we are, and then you have the opportunity to sew some fig leaves together and figure out, take a drug, do an event, go to this, do that. Those are your fig leaves to cover up the way that you feel because of the things that you've done. And I think, you know, for me, like, I fig leafed it for a long time. Even I'm a Christian, and I've always been a Christian, but I still found myself like trying to distract myself by other things instead of just facing myself as a person. And one of the things, it sounds so simple, but one of the things that I've done a lot, and it's been like a lot of times, just over and over and over and over, is when those moments come to me and I feel that like closing in on myself because of who I am or things that I've done, because I, you know, like you guys know, I've always said I wanted to live my life without regrets, and I'm almost 40 years old, and I'm like, I cannot say that I have no regrets. And so when I'm forced to face those moments, because for me what happens is I feel like before the thought is like active and I understand what myself is like processing, I have this really horrible feeling. And like, I want to like escape from the feeling, and I'm like, what is this? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, like, thoughts will come back to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And the only thing that has helped me at all in those moments is I get a visual of like myself running to the cross. And I'm just like, Jesus, you've got to help me here, because I can't face who I am, and I can't face these mistakes that I've made. And then I remind myself that the Bible says that he loved me before I first loved him, and that his death on the cross happened before I even came into existence. And Psalm 139 says that even before a thought is in my head, God knows what that thought is going to be. And if before the words even come out of my mouth, he knows those words, all of them, before I even say them. And so that means, and it also says, like, when we lay down and when we rise up, like, literally all of our steps, he knows all of them. And then it tells us that his thoughts to us are more in number than the sands on the sea, like on the shore line. And I'm like, so God has all of these thoughts, and they're for good and not for evil for me. And he died for me before I even committed those sins or wrecked those things. And that means, like, it's good. Like, we're good. Like, you have to face your issues, and you have to change the things that you have to change. But, like, Jesus has me. And, like, that's been the thing that, cause, like, it's crazy. Like, when I used to have those thoughts, it was a downward spiral where it would be one negative thought after the other. And I would just start thinking about this and how it connects to that and how it connects to that. And then thinking of all the destruction that it made and all this and that. And then at the end of it, like, I always found myself, like, thinking about my own death and, like, just wanting to escape it by my own death. And then there was just, like, a time where Jesus was like, my death, Sori, not yours. And so that was kind of like game changer for me. I was like, okay, that's right. Like, it's Jesus's death, not mine. Like, what am I doing here? And so that I just run to the cross every time now. Every time it comes, like, a lot of times it hits for me, like, in the morning when I first wake up, it's just like this cloud of, like, heaviness just, like, comes, or it's been like that ever since I remember being a little kid in my crib and waking up to that feeling. And it's just over me like a cloud. And I'd just wake up and I'd be like, okay. And then I'd start thinking about all the reasons why. And now I'm like, nope, not anymore. Like, now when I get that feeling, I'm like, I start reminding myself, just like David in the Psalms did. He would encourage, he's like, why are you cast down, O my soul? Why are you like this? Hope in God, for I will yet praise him. And so that's what I start doing. I'm like, I'm going to encourage myself in the Lord, and I'm going to pull up those scriptures, and I'm going forward with Jesus. I'm not going down that spiral. Like, man, it's dark down there, and I don't want to be there anymore. So, yeah. So, I mean, I loved this song. Like, this is a playlist worthy one for me.
I figured 9.7 from 8.
It's a 10 for me, actually.
Yeah.
I was going to flash the lights mid-song.
But you didn't.
But
so,
I didn't, because
shout out to all the rumblers.
I didn't want to throw it off. No, I was going to flash the lights because I was going to be giving it a 10.
Oh, flashing.
But we give it a 10. We flash the lights if we both give it
lights. I
to the
think
10.
you'll like it. We'll
yeah?
listen to it later tonight. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Being out.
Sori out.
Gone. We got more songs coming up, losers. Commercial break. We'll be right back.